Joining us now is Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics, White House correspondent. Susan, welcome back to the program.
Thanks so much for having me, Ben.
Susan, I want to play this piece of tape here of the Palm Beach sheriff basically dismissing the idea, well, everyone did their job and there wasn't as secure of a perimeter because he's not the president. Very kind of similar type tones to Butler, but obviously a little bit more. They want us to celebrate the fact that there's not a secure perimeter. Let's play cut 2.
How was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any up-security of the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right, and at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
Susan, what changes, if any, happened to his detail after the first assassination attempt when he was shot?
Well, they totally revamped it. They were treating him as a former president, as we all know now, and like it was as if he were similar threat level that President Obama would get or attract, or Jimmy Carter. I mean, that makes absolutely zero sense. So we've since then had a lot more assets. I'm told by my sources in the Secret Service community who were just coming forth it was very nice to have so many people to talk to, but it was extremely busy yesterday. They're saying that it's just below. It can't really say it's equal to a sitting president. It's not equal. Otherwise, like Rick Bradshaw said, the sheriff there said, it would have been surrounding. There would have been streets that were shut down around the golf course. There would have been a much more fortified perimeter. But the problem, what I'm hearing here is there's a balance to be struck. And part of this has to do with Donald Trump. He did get counter snipers at Mar-a-Lago. There was a big problem with Mar-a-Lago, and his Donald Trump detail itself for years has been asking for more assets for Mar-a-Lago. They finally gave him $4 million, but they did it piecemeal over time, which is a normal thing that the Secret Service does that's irritating to the people requesting the additional assets. Because if they're threat-based, they should be as quickly done as quickly as possibly installed. But since Butler, my questions are exactly: is he getting a counter surveillance unit? We don't know. I think he does have the counter assault team that the president gets. Obviously, he doesn't have the military assets like Marine One and Air Force One and a military aid. But I want a definite breakdown. I'm told that it's definitely shy of the sitting president, but how they fortify these golf courses that Trump, he owns and he wants to go to with a bit of, interaction with people. He was there with Steve Witkoff, his good friend and donor. It's kind of a balance to be struck. After this, I just sort of pieced this morning saying, there has to be a reckoning between the Trump campaign and the Secret Service on how they want to operate, how freely they're going to allow him to operate from here on out. Because we've had 2 assassination attempts in 2 months. You need to change what you're doing. And my question is, they've been so, within the Secret Service, I'm hearing that they are launching this drone program after, not doing it since 2016, very resistant to any change at the Secret Service. And the technology, like Dan Bongino likes to say, it's yesterday's technology tomorrow. They're really bad on embracing new technology. And they're now, though Ron Rowe, the acting director, has promised that he's going to institute drones and he wants to get the program up and running. So was there a drone that helped them find that Ryan Ruth in the bushes there with an AK-47? I do have that question in Secret Service. They haven't responded yet.
So what I'm not totally clear is why does Donald Trump not have the same protection as Kamala Harris? And that is a decision that can be made by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, correct? He's a former president, opposition political leader. And so basically Kamala Harris puts out a nice press release, but does nothing to actually protect him. They could choose to give him the same level of protection. Is that correct?
No, I think that it's whether that decision on the Biden administration is whether to give them or not protection, and then the Secret Service decides what level. And Kimberly Cheadle, who resigned in disgrace, in part because of this decision, treated him as a former president and didn't give him, I think he has more than Kamala has.
I'm sorry.
Right
so
now.
wait, the president
Kamala
can't
Harris.
override the Secret Service and say, give him more agents?
No, he can request it. There is actually a bicameral organization that determines that, in addition to Biden, that actually Speaker Johnson is involved in as well. But yes, Biden says whether you get it or not, and the Secret Service always says that it's the level that you're provided is threat-based. But when it came to Donald Trump, he broke the mold. He has tens of thousands of people. He's not a former president like President Obama, that the threat level decreases when you're out of office. He's the first person former president running again, challenging a sitting president in our lifetime now, of course, the sitting vice president. But yeah, I mean, he broke the mold. Donald Trump broke the mold. So now we're trying to assess where he is. My sources said just shy of what the sitting president gets. But in this situation, the sitting president is in a weird situation. He's not as active as much as he was just, a month and a half ago. So it's a bizarre situation. They're not being forthcoming. I asked them this yesterday. When he goes to the golf course, does Donald Trump get the same assets as President Biden did when he went to when he played at Wilmington? They have not answered that question. I think that's a key question.
So tell us more about the agent who spotted him in the tree line.
Well, we know only that they spotted the barrel of the AK-47 and they started shooting. Now, I always hesitate to say who shot first. The local law enforcement agents, the sheriffs there, definitely said they gave great kudos to the Secret Service for shooting first and going after this guy. The guy fled. But, other people within the Secret Service community, not me, this is not coming from me, said, well, he didn't hit his shot. So kudos for being more aggressive and identifying him quicker than what happened in Butler. So there's progress there. But, they're faulting him within the Secret Service for not making the shot and then allowing him to run away. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag. And I want to know, why they didn't have more security. Now, the reason what I'm hearing from sources is that it was considered OTR, an OTR event. And that's, short. In journalism, we like say off the record, right? It's similar kind of connotation with the Secret Service, but just means it wasn't on the schedule. Okay, so it's like an impromptu event that they kind of like have to, it's not like a pickup team. It's the same detail that always protects them and train together, but they kind of have to operate more loosely and they don't plan ahead like when they do a rally or an event. So what Dan Bongino and some of my sources said to me, Dan Bongino said it on X, and my sources were confirming it to me, that he's losing the ability to be unpredictable because he's always playing golf, and some at the same golf courses. So you can't treat it as an OTR anymore, where it's loose security. You've got to either not do it at all, which is I'm sure is not an option for Donald Trump, or treat it, you have to plan ahead a little bit more and treat it as, and fortify it in a better way, because the Secret Service is definitely OTR events. It's like when Jill Biden and Joe Biden went to the Waffle House after the debate the next morning. That was kind of a looser OTR event. They take the risk, the president takes the risk.